I remember talking to Caleb Wilson at Leadership Conference 2022, and we didn't know each other too well, but I just remember asking him if he needed any help with any work he was doing, and I remember him saying, you know, he would love to have some solar panels on his house. And I had a very strong conviction in my heart. I think it was from the God saying, no, you help this man. And he came back to me saying like, well, you know, I really feel like our family, we want to move in a couple of years to an island, to Normanby Island. I was like, yeah, okay, but I was like to him, what's stopping you from moving to the island now? Because, like, is it your family, the fact that you're still young in the ministry, what's going on? And he goes, yeah, it's a bit of that, it's a bit of like unsure what God would have him to do yet. And so I'm like, okay, no worries. And then we pretty much finished up there, and I was a bit unsure what was going to happen. And then a few weeks after that, Caleb calls me back, and this is where it all gets quite exciting. He called me and he said, hey, I've just been thinking, and I really felt God convicting me to move my family and make that move a lot faster, so to speak, to fast track that process. And I'm like, wow, this is definitely of God, because I had that conviction to help him, and I had a feeling that he was supposed to move as well, but I couldn't explain that. It was just something that I had in my heart. But it was also very exciting just to see God really work through that whole conversation, and how he used me, and he used me to confirm to him to move house as well, and also to take that step in moving his family across to Normanby. And so, you know, from that, we were able to organise a team, and that was not a quick process. It was over the course of about 3 years. Organised a container to bring building supplies over so we could build him a house in Normanby Island. I really pushed for the young adults to help raise money, and I remember coming to them and saying to Danny, our young adults leader, and saying, look, if we raise money as the young adults, what some ideas you have? And he said, whatever money you guys raise in the next, I think it was a month he gave us, he would double it as a leader. And so we're like, far out, we have to make as much money as we can. We were able to raise $7,000 as a young adults group, and so therefore $14,000 when Danny doubled it. So yeah, it was just awesome. And then we were able to give him the money as well, because Caleb came by, stopped by the church, and we were able to give him that, and just that feeling of knowing we did that was so special. So that $14,000 was used to get building supplies, like the quad bike. So Caleb had this quad bike he really wanted in mind, and he was really set on this exact model and type, and he was looking for it in Brisbane when he came down, and he came to stay for Leadership Conference in like a really sort of dodgy motel. I remember going there to drop off my ute to him, and it was pretty incredible. He was looking everywhere online and magazines, couldn't see it, and then he said he was driving to church the next day, and then right beside this little dodgy hotel was this little automobile shop, like sold little parts and things, and right there on the front lawn was this exact quad bike, exact design, everything he wanted, and it was just sitting there for sale. And he's like, that's incredible. Like, I've looked everywhere for this, couldn't find anything, and then there it was, right next to where he was staying. And he went inside the place to ask about it, and they said, hey, look, we can give you that one, but that's literally the last one we have in stock. And that was just incredible to think that that was the exact thing he was looking for, and God put it right there for him. Just a great story about how God really worked a miracle there. And then we realised to get the container, because we had the container at the time, had our church on the property, to get that to Normanby Island was a very long and expensive process. It would cost about $30,000. And so, knowing this, I went to the church up the front, because I now moved on from the young adults to the whole congregation. I said, look at what we were able to do as young adults. We were able to raise $14,000. Let's try and make $30,000 happen. And so I really pushed the church to make this money. It was good. It was really good to see. We got behind, a lot of people from church got behind it. We had bake stalls. We had people would donate old items from their garages, like couches and bikes, things like this. and we'd sell at a marketplace. You know, lots of opportunities to give. People were just sacrificially giving. It was awesome to see. Yeah, I think God really tested my faith throughout this process though, because we reached out to a number of people and we didn't get anywhere near that 30,000 mark, and I knew we had to ship this container. For it to go, we had to have $30,000. So it was a bit of a moment of testing my faith, I believe, because I was like, well, if we have to get this there and God wants this to happen, what's stopping it? Like, why is this not working? So 6 months went by and nowhere near 30,000 came in, and then I just kept praying and kept believing God would find a way to make it happen. That's when we got a bit more adventurous with our fundraising ideas, and we came to the church and Dad and I said, look, whatever, if we can raise $10,000, Dad's going to shave his head and beard, which he's never done in a very long time. My mum's never seen him shave his beard in her whole time being married to him, and so it would have been a big moment for him. And yeah, I'm really grateful that he even had the idea to do that. And so we said, okay, let's put this big number out there, and then we raised that money in no time. So I think from the head shave, where Dad and I were able to do that, we raised $13,000 just from that alone. And a lot of work we were able to do in Gympie for my uncle. We were able to bring out a crew and help build a shed for my uncle. And he's just a really giving Christian man, and he was able to give us money through us helping him build. And you know, I appreciate everyone that came along throughout that whole process of building that shed. It was 10 to 15 Saturdays where we would go out there every day to Gympie, and big days, and the boys, we made good memories, everyone that came out there. And just, yeah, doing that for the cause of raising money for the goal of getting that container to PNG. Yeah, I was very blessed with a very good network of people to be able to get the container there, people that have had experience within that field of shipping and container export, things like this. And so that was another blessing. Like, God just brought people in our path to be able to make these things happen for the best price and the best way possible. So yeah, for these sort of mission trips, you got to be quite flexible because things can change out of the blue. And I noticed that we were always planning to go in November to do this build, and we had a big group of guys that were going to come. I think it was about 12 to 14 people were going to come, and I had a big crew. It was going to be quite a large trip and big planning. And then I remember Caleb contacted me and saying, hey mate, things are getting delayed, our timber can't be cut in time, so can you come next year in April? And I'm like, mate, I can, but I'm not sure how many people can come. And then I remember when April came around, the group was much smaller. We only had a few people this time to go, and I was a bit unsure of like, well, is this what God wants for us? Like, are we only supposed to get a little bit done? But going there with even a smaller group, but seeing how we were able to get so much done still, and God was able to use us, it just goes to show that, you know, you might have an idea in your head of how you want to do something, but God has different plans, and He continues just to test your faith out the whole time. And it's great to see that even though things look like they're getting set back, they're still being accomplished for His glory. We had a great time. You know, usually to get to the island, we have to go through 2 stops, 2 plane, so 2 layovers, and usually that gets delayed every time. But I remember as a church we fasted before we went, and we said, no, we really want God to be all over this trip. But as soon as we got to the airport, everything went well. Like, no planes were delayed, and even Caleb, who's been there multiple times, said, man, this is rare. This hardly ever happens for the planes to not be delayed and for everything to go smoothly to get there. So I knew from the get-go God was with us. He was using us. And so yeah, the trip was amazing. We got in the boat over. We were a bit, how to explain it? We were a bit cramped in the boat, so they told me I decided to go up the front of the boat and right in the sun. So I sat in the sun for 3.5 hours, which is not very smart when you're a white boy like me. And I became a lobster that way. And I think I might have got sun poisoning which is like really bad sunburn, and I couldn't move for about 2 days, just so sick. And yeah, so that was a bit of a mistake on my own behalf. Bit of self-inflicted there, but you know, the group as a whole, we all got in. The locals and everyone that was on the island greeted us with open arms. They were really, really nice and hospitable, and they just really took care of us. We got in, we were able to just get the work done as well as we could. You know, we had Josh and my dad doing the plumbing. We had Sam and myself doing the electrical. We had Gary and Pete doing the chippy work, the carpentry work. So yeah, it was great. And the locals came in. They gave us a hand with everything they could. They were digging holes. They were carrying bags up the hills. There was just everyone just got involved, and just really good teamwork. And it was great to see. Yeah, the guys in the college and also the ladies. They're all very, very friendly. Very nice people, and they're very hardworking, and it was just a great time to be able to just connect with them and just talk to them. They always got involved however they could. It was awesome to see that we had the classic bush ladder that Gary was able to make, and seeing these guys, they wouldn't even use the bush ladder, they just climb up the frame, and just very strong and athletic, and you know, they're just getting amongst it and helping out however they could. So yeah, the guys were great, and about being able to make those relationships and even just talk about God with them and have that connection through God, yeah, it's awesome. The people over there, their living conditions aren't the greatest, although it's a beautiful place to live. You got the ocean and the beautiful tropical feel to it all. They still live in poverty, so most of them only eat what they can grow in their gardens, which is usually a lot of starch, and they'll rarely eat protein or fish meat, unless they're able to catch it in the ocean, like fish. So you know, although it looks like a beautiful place, which you'll see in the videos, I think it's important to note that these people aren't exactly living in the greatest conditions. And so every day we'd have to go after work. It was awesome. We'd go down to the water and go for a swim, and then we'd go to the creek, and that's where everyone sort of washes their dishes, but also washes themselves and has their showers and all that. So that creek is shared up the whole mountain, and so we're at the bottom of the mountain, so all the other people up top have been showering, and then we get the water at the bottom. So you know, it's a recipe for things to go wrong, like disease, I'm sure, and so, you know, sickness and things like this. So yeah, these people, they don't have it easy as much as it may look like it, and yeah, it's just an eye-opener for people that come to see how blessed we are in Australia. There's a lot of funny moments. I know it would have been interesting to put like a sound level in our room at night, because the amount of snoring going on there, there would have been some decibels, I reckon, some very high decibels, because you know, you got Pete, Gary, and Dave, my dad, all going at once. It was unbelievable. But so you know, a few of the boys decided to move out pretty much straight away of that room and just go sleep in the main part of the house, because like, nah, can't do it. And then of course everyone knows about Pete, what he did with his phone.
Just left his phone into the toilet and he dropped it, and now he has poop on it.
Something to behold, mate.
How's your day going, brother? Yeah. You look like you're down in the dumps, bro.
Dropped it down the drop toilet, so that was good. Everyone got in, everyone did what they had to do. We achieved everything we wanted. The main thing that we got done, which is the most important, was to see power go on, and also to see water running, and we got to see that. We brought a big solar hot water heater and sewage tank and rainwater tanks, and so to set all that up with all the plumbing, and then for the electrical we had all these solar panels on the roof, and then these big inverter systems that we were able to get through our contact Matt Allen, who was really good support for us. Yeah, so to see that, and then the electricity turn on because of that all being set up, was really awesome to see, and just to see the reaction of the Wilsons, and it was so special to see the look on their face as they saw everything coming together on their house that they've been like wanting to build over all these years. So just so rewarding for us as well, and yeah, overall just a very rewarding trip. You know, it was a great experience with everything we had to do. We had to raise money, we had to raise a lot of money for it, and just to see the church come together and really get behind this project and to see it all come to fruition in the end is just very special. My biggest takeaway is when you have, like, God obviously has his general will for your life, which is to read your Bible, pray, fellowship with other believers, all these things that we all know how to do, the fundamentals. When you're doing these things, God will give you he'll speak to you specifically, and that's what I noticed in my life. God told me, help Caleb Wilson. And so my advice to people is, when God does speak to you specifically, don't ignore that. Like, if I was to just ignore that, what he said to me, it would have fizzled out to nothing. And that's like, I would never have known what God could have done through that. So when God first said, help this man, I never thought, wow, I'm going to be raising all this money with the church and doing all this huge project. I was never thinking that. I was thinking, well, I'll just do what God tells me to do. But when you have the heart to do something for him, he will grow that and he will expand from that. And so I think that's the biggest takeaway. If God convicts you of something, or if God speaks to you in some way, whether it's to talk to your friend about God, or whether it's to give money or go to a mission trip, anything, whatever it is, you never know what God can do from that. And so if you just have faith to believe in him, he will make things come. He'll work things out in his own way. Not all the time are you going to have things go the way you think they'll go, but he'll always make a way for it to work. And I think that's the most encouraging thing I've noticed. Even when it came to raising money, I didn't make the money. The money didn't come in the way I thought it would, but it did come in. And that's the point about it, is that God's ways are higher than ours, but he also tests your faith throughout that process. So yeah, it was just a great experience for me, the whole project. God's talked to me in so many ways, but really grown my faith and encouraged me to continue to step out for him. And yeah, if this can inspire someone else to really step out in faith and listen to God and obey his voice, and that would really encourage me as well.